Welcome you all again in the lecture of IC engine fuel and lubricants. This lecture is based upon the different types of fuels which are used for SI and CI engine. What is the properties of that fuels? Because in last two lecture I have delivered to you different types of fuels, its characteristics, its classification like solid, liquid and gas, and we have done some exercises also, and we have evaluated different parameters for that. In this lecture we are going to complete these contents, removal of salt, because you all know that the crude petrol and diesel and other liquids are derived from the crude oil. So, they are having some salt. So, removal of salt from crude oil, processing of crude oil, petroleum fraction, distillation, ADU and VDU cracking, important qualities of engine fuels, and we will do some exercise on that. So, removal of salt from crude oil. So, a desalter is a process unit in an oil refinery that removes salt 20 to 500 ppm, because you extract your crude from the earth crust, and it is having different components. Other components are there, but there is some salt is there. So, a desalter is a process unit in an oil refinery that removes salt from 20 to 500 ppm, which is desirable from the crude oil. The salt is dissolved in the water in the crude oil, not in the crude oil itself. The desalting is usually the first process in crude oil refining. So, first of all, what we are going to refining? We remove the salt found in the crude oil. The salt content after the desalter is usually measured in ppb, pounds of salt per 1000 barrels of crude oil. The term desalter may also refer to a water desalination facility used to treat brackish water from agriculture runoff. The salts that are most frequently present in crude oils are calcium, sodium and magnesium chloride, and this is the diagram how it is removed. You can see from here that crude oil is first of all desalting, refinery waste out, we remove the waste out. So, removal of corrosive salts and suspended solids. Then we go for distillation, in fact fractional distillation. Well, what is fractional distillation? Separation into major distillation fractions, because crude oil is having the full of different components, and after desalting we do distillation. So, distillation means at different temperature, different type of fuel, different types of fuels will be condensed out. So, separation of those components is called distillation. Then downstream processing means the change of molecular structure of hydrocarbon molecules is known as downstream processing, and it emits some emissions, and then we go for purification or denitrogenation or desulfurization and demetallation. So, these are the steps for removal of salt from the crude oil to the useful form of the fuel. So, removal of salt from the crude oil, the high temperatures that occur downstream in the process could cause water hydrolysis, which in turn allows the formation of corrosive hydraulic acid, sand, silence, salt cause deposits of foul heat exchanger or result in plugging. So, if it is not removed at high temperature, where the fuel will pass, those points will be corroded more easily, and there will be some maintenance problem. The need to supply heat to vaporize water reduces crude preheating capacity. Sodium, arsenic and other metals can poison catalysts. By removing the suspended solids, they are not carried into burner and eventually flue gas where they would cause problem with environmental compliance such as flue gas opacity norms. Crude oil to be desalted is heated to a temperature of 100 to 150 degrees Celsius and mixed with 4 to 10% fresh water, which is dilutes the salt. So, this temperature for removing the salt is the temperature range is 100 to 150, and the mixture is then pumped into settling tank. These are the steps which we are going to follow for removing. So, the mixture is then pumped into a settling tank where the salt water separates from the oil and it is drained off. Now, an electrostatic field is applied by electrodes in the settling tank, inducing polarization of the water droplets floating in the large volume of oil. This results in the water droplets clumping together and settling to the bottom of the tank. First part of the refining crude oil is to heat it until it boils. So, the first part which we find refining is boils. The boiling liquids is separated into different liquids and gases in distillation column. There is a distillation column. In last lecture I have shown you that picture. The boiling liquid is separated into different liquids and gases in a distillation column. These liquids are used to make petrol, paraffin, diesel fuel, etc., crude oil. So, crude oil is a mixture of different chemical called hydrocarbons. Generally, every 30,000 barrel batch takes around 12 to 24 hours to undergo through analytical testing and pass quality control. So, 30,000 barrel is the quantity for the volume of the crude oil, it is used globally. So, 30,000 barrel batch takes around 12 to 24 hours to undergo the analytical testing and passing the quality. A key stage is ultra heating the crude oil to boiling point with distillation column used to separate the liquids and gases. Now, the main refining processes are as follows. First is thermal cracking. So, these are the processes which are followed for conversion after desalination of the crude into the useful fuel, into different fuels. So, first is thermal cracking, catalytic cracking, polymerization, alkylation, isomerization, reforming and blending. So, you know that the crude oil is having its hydrocarbons in a very bigger molecular structure are there. So, they are not uniform in size, their molecular structure is variable. Some having very small, some having double bonds, some having long chain compounds. So, first step is for thermal cracking. So, what is thermal cracking? You know that cracking is breaking those heavy molecules into smaller ones with the help of high temperature. So, if a large hydrocarbon molecules are heated to a high temperature and pressure, they decompose into smaller lower boiling point molecules. Higher the molecular weight, higher the boiling point. It is assumed that higher the molecular weight, higher the boiling point, and smaller the molecular weight, smaller the boiling point. So, this process of breaking with the help of heat into smaller molecules is known as thermal cracking. Thermal cracking. So, second one is the catalytical cracking. What is catalytic cracking? So, catalytic cracking using a catalyst is done at a low pressure and temperature, because in thermal cracking we need more pressure, high pressure and high temperature, but with the use of the catalyst we are able to break those heavy molecules into smaller one with the help of some catalyst. Due to the catalysis, the naphthenes are cracked into olefins and paraffins, and olefins to isoparaffins, and thus forming gasoline. Because we know that our aim is to purify that, and it should have also not purify, it should have a higher combustion quality. So, higher combustion quality, you all know that if we are able to break into normal paraffins, long chain compound, then it is having its combustion quality somewhat inferior. So, with the help of catalyst we are able to break the heavier molecules into form of paraffins in iso form, because isoparaffins are having more knock resistance. So, the gasoline such form is having more knock resistance, otherwise we have to mix some additives or dopes to increase the octane number. That is why this catalyst cracking is used. So, catalytic cracking gives better anti-knock property gasoline as compared to the thermal cracking. So, it is better option for having the more thermal stability as well as the combustion quality. Now, the polymerization you all know that it is the conversion of olefins, the unsaturated products of cracking into heavier one, just reversing, you are making a bigger molecular arrangement. So, polymerization is the process of converting olefins which are unsaturated products of cracking into heavier and stable compounds such as high octane gasoline. The typical reaction you can see from here, with the help of some chemical reaction you are able to find the polymerization process. It is also gives you high octane gasoline. So, polymerization is also adopted, thermal cracking, catalytic cracking, then polymerization. Now, alkylation, another process, alkylation. So, what is alkylation? So, alkylation combines olefin with an isoparaffin to produce a branched chain isoparaffin of molecular weight equal to the sum of reactants in the presence of catalyst. This gives a fuel of very high octane number such as isooctane or isopentane. So, this is also a chemical reaction, with the help of that we are able to increase its combustion quality or knock resistance. Similarly, another one is isomerization. So, isomerization, what is isomerization? It is the process which is isomers. What is isomers? First of all, you know that what is isomers. So, compounds having same chemical formula, but having different properties is known as isomers. So, isomerization is the process by which isomers, that is compounds having same chemical formula but different properties are produced, is called isomerization. To convert normal butane into isobutane for alkylation, and to convert normal pentane and normal hexane into normal isoparaffins to improve knocking rating of highly volatile gasoline. So, octane ratings between octane rating is nothing but it is the characteristics of the SI engine fuel. Higher the octane number is desirable, higher the octane number, more cleaner and more knock free operation of that fuel. So, it is desirable. So, we convert from crude oil, then purification, then after purification we need some processes also for refining it. These are those processes. So, why these processes are done? These are the aim behind this, to make the fuel compatible as per your demand. As per your demand means either that fuel is going to use in SI engine, spark ignition engine, or it is used in CI engine, compression ignition engine. So, isomerization is one of them. Now, the reforming, another refining process. So, what is reforming? Reforming is used to convert low anti-knock quality stocks. It does not increase the total gasoline volume as is the case in the cracking, polymerization and alkylation. So, reforming means further improving some properties. And then blending. Blending is the simply you know that mixing some liquids into your petrol or gasoline or diesel to increase its octane rating or combustion quality. For example, nowadays we are using ethanol in SI engine, 5% to 10% ethanol is mixed into the SI engine, because by adding it, it is ethanol is having high octane value. So, it makes the gasoline more compatible for the SI engine, it curbs the emissions and also the engine maintenance is proper, by using some blends. Now, these are the products of refining processes. A natural gas, LPG, gasoline, kerosene, distillate, diesel oil, fuel oils, lubricating oil, tar, asphalt and petroleum coke. One by one we will see this. So, natural gas, you all know that what is natural gas? It is found dissolved in petroleum or in huge amounts under earth's surface in oil and gas burning areas. So, it is made mainly from paraffin having methane, a small amount of propane, ethane is also there and butane is also there. So, it is having 95% of methane, it is having very high octane rating. Similarly, LPG, it is the, you all know that it is LPG for domestic burning, for domestic stove, LPG gas, and also LPG is utilized for your vehicle, auto vehicle. So, auto LPG and domestic LPG both are different, because in domestic LPG there are normal paraffins and in auto LPG there are isoparaffins. So, this is the, because in auto LPG we need combustion, proper combustion, knock resistance. So, we have discussed it that isoparaffins are having more knock resistance as compared to the normal. So, propane and butane and some other light hydrocarbons after separation from natural gas, if stored under pressure from liquid, this is called liquid petroleum gas. So, it is utilized and stored at some pressure, standard pressure. Then gasoline, you all know that what is gasoline? Gasoline is the lightest liquid petroleum fraction, and material boiling up to 200 degrees Celsius is generally considered as gasoline. So, approximately the boiling point is 200 degrees Celsius, and the specific gravity varies from 0.7 to 0.78 depending upon the type of the refining process you adopted. So, it is varies from 0.7 to 0.78, and this covers most of the fuel used for specific gravity of the engines. So, now the kerosene having boiling temperature range of 150 to 300 degrees Celsius, it is also used in aviation gas turbines, jet fuel and lamps, stoves, etc. Then distillates, the distillate is slightly heavier than kerosene. These are used as tractor fuels or domestic fuels. So, distillate is also the products which are found from the refining processes. Fuel oils are other one. Fuel oils are similar to diesel fuel in specific gravity and distillation range, but their composition varies in a range wider than those of diesel fuel. These are used in industrial fuels. Now, lubricating oils, for lubricating purpose we use lubricating oil. It is these are also products of byproducts of the refining process. So, lubricating oils are made of heavy distillate of petroleum and residual oil. These are used for lubricating purposes. You all know that lubrication is needed for smoothing the engine operation, to reduce the frictional losses and to improve the engine life. So, it is needed either a 2-stroke or 4-stroke engine or heavy engine, lubrication is there needed. And other form is tar or asphalt. Tar and asphalt are solid or semi solid undistilled products of petroleum. So, these are also byproducts, they are also utilized somewhere, and petroleum coke is used as solid industrial fuel. Now, the fractional distillation, ADU and VDU cracking. So, you can see what is ADU and VDU cracking. So, distillation is the action of purifying a liquid by a process of heating and cooling. So, what is distillation? In very nutshell you can understand, action of purifying a liquid by a process of heating and then cooling, condensation means. So, there are different forms of distillation methods that are used for different applications. Simple distillation, fractional distillation, atmospheric distillation, vacuum distillation, steam distillation, etc. The key difference between atmospheric distillation and vacuum distillation is that the atmospheric distillation is used to separate low boiling fractions of a mixture. So, ADU means atmospheric distillation unit and VDU means vacuum distillation unit. So, ADU, so we either we adopt ADU or VDU. So, where we adopt ADU, where we have to refine a crude oil which is having low boiling fractions of a mixture. So, the difference between atmospheric distillation and vacuum distillation is that the atmospheric distillation is used to separate low boiling fraction of a mixture, whereas vacuum distillation allows the components to be separated easily by lowering the boiling point of high boiling fraction. So, if there are in crude oil there are heavy molecules are there having very high boiling points, then we go for vacuum distillation. 80% refineries operating in the USA having VDU. So, 80% refining is done by vacuum distillation unit. You can see simple apparatus for atmospheric distillation here. So, you can see here. So, first of all crude oil from the source coming out, it is pumped to desalter, from salt is removed, then a very light furnace is there to remove some moisture and other components, then it is passed through the atmospheric fractional distillation, means the pressure inside this column is 1 atmospheric. So, it is passed and from this distillation as per their boiling points, these liquids are condensed out. So, heavy gas, light gas, kerosene, heavy naphtha, these are all removed, and finally we get some gases LPG and gasoline, naphtha also there, and they are passed through a gas separator where the gas component is separated from your liquid. So, this is the fraction distillation of ADU and VDU. So, what is the difference between atmospheric distillation and vacuum distillation? You can see from this slide that atmospheric distillation versus atmospheric distillation is a technique used to separate components in crude oil that is performed under atmospheric pressure. A vacuum distillation is a technique used to separate components in a mixture at a reduced pressure. The pressure atmospheric distillation uses pressure nearly similar to the atmospheric pressure around 1.2 to 1.5 atmospheric. Other and vacuum distillation uses very low pressure conditions. So, the theory behind this is, we have discussed this, atmospheric distillation is used to separate low boiling fractions of the mixture, and vacuum distillation allows the components to be separated easily by lowering the boiling point of a high boiling fractions, because the operation will be carried out in vacuum. Fractions: atmospheric distillation separate the light fraction of the mixture, vacuum distillation separate the heavy fractions of the mixture. And degradation of the key components: the atmospheric distillation does not concern about degradation of the component. The vacuum distillation allows the components to be separated without thermal decomposition. So, this was a very brief idea about that. These are the important qualities of SI engine fuels. So, volatility, starting and warm up, operating range performance, crankcase dilution, vapor lock characteristic, anti-lock characteristics. So, these are the important qualities of SI engine fuels which are distilled out. So, volatility, you know that what is volatility? It is the amount of evaporated at any pressure and temperature. So, gasoline is a mixture of different hydrocarbons. Volatility depends on fractions of components of the fuel. Practice of measuring the fuel volatility is the distillation of the fuel in a special device at atmospheric pressure and in the presence of its own vapor. The fraction that boils off at a definite temperature is measured. So, this is the diagram for volume of evaporated, and this before starting this important qualities, I will discuss this in the coming lecture. So, I am muting these for a time. I will, so first of all I will discuss some exercise on this. So, this is a problem 1. The mass of analysis of petrol used in an engine was 84% carbon. These are all the parameters are given. So, this is based upon the some combustion. So, consider 100 kilogram of fuel. Let A be the total moles of oxygen supplied, the combustion equation. You can write in the form of A and B, and finally, you equating the coefficients. You will be able to find because 84% is given. So, 84 divided by its molecular weight, it will be its molar percentage. Similarly, 16 divided by its molecular weight will be its molar fraction. So, this problem is somewhat different from other problems, because here the composition is given to you initially, the fuel composition is given to you. So, you from that you evaluate how much amount of the air is required and how much amount of the products are formed. From the molar balance you are able to find all the values. Then mass of air supplied is equal to 12.32 is the molecular weight, and A is find from the molecular valence, and A comes out to be you can evaluate A is to 12.165. Similarly, the other products are found. So, the mass of air supplied is equal to 1680 kg. So, air fuel ratio by mass is equal to 60/80 upon 100, because 100 kg of fuel is taken. So, it is come down 16.8:1. Now, percentage excess air can be evaluated, because you have supplied air, this may be chemically correct or excess air. So, how the percentage of excess air is evaluated with the help of this formula? Actual air supplied, you have supplied which amount of air, minus chemically correct ratio, correct air required, upon the stoichiometric air. With the help of that, you apply, you put the values, the percentage excess air comes out to be 0.106. Now, come to another problem. In a bomb calorimeter test on petrol, the higher calorific value was determined and found to be 46,900 kilojoule per kg. If the fuel contains 14.4% hydrogen by mass, calculate the lower calorific value given HFG, which is the latent heat at 25 degrees Celsius for water. You can directly measure it from the steam table also. In kilojoule, it is given to you 2304.4 kilojoule per kg. So, what you will do? So, the bomb calorimeter test was driven found, so H2 plus O2 is equal to H2. So, 4 kg of H2 plus 32 kg of O2 is equal to 36 kg of H2O. 1 kg of H2 gives you 9 kg of H2. So, here we have already described all these things. So, it net calorific gross calorific value minus MA into HFG. So, this is given to you, this is evaluated from here, and HFG is given to you, from where net calorific value is evaluated. So, this is all about for this lecture. Thank you so much.